Nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
And staying in Raleigh County, a small business owner in Beckley says she's received hundreds of death threats following the sale of some controversial merchandise. In a Facebook post that has since been deleted, the Carpenter's Loft Primitives store posted this picture last week. The photo shows store owner Paula Thomas standing beside two handmade life-size dolls. The public quickly erupted after the posting of that photo. Comments called Thomas racist and shamed the store for selling the dolls. We have learned that the dolls, both of the dolls rather, were handmade in Amish country and have already sold for about $300 each. We reached out to Thomas today for an interview. She declined to go on camera, but she does tell us that she now fears for the well-being of her employees and herself. Thomas says she has received hundreds of death threats and phone calls following the sale of the dolls. She says people have also threatened to burn down her store. When we spoke with Thomas, she referred to the merchandise as primitive garden dolls.
Okay, so in this uber progressive, we're beyond slavery, stop talking about it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, new United States of America, we have someone who had life-size slave dolls. And, you know, it just speaks to the character. Am I mad? No. Am I surprised? No. I know what country I freaking live in. I mean, I don't know why people get surprised by this. And it's usually colorless people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe, are you serious? Are you freaking serious? People are getting shot in the back with no weapon. People are, you know, sitting up here throwing applications away because it has a black sounding name. Come on now, like, stop it. Stop the BS. There's been so many people let out of prison because, I mean, a bigot has doctored evidence, lied in police reports. Like, you know what nation you live in. You embrace it every July 4th. We're coming up on 2024, July 4th. You shoot up fireworks. You have slave owners and rapists and child rapists all over mountains. You've carved in the mountains. You know the history. That's why you don't want it being taught in its authenticity. It's because it's so bad. Gator bait and all. But people like this, I mean, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They are colorless in the United States that are like this. A lot of them, the colorless in Brazil and South America, the colorless in every island in Europe, everywhere in France, Britain, everywhere. They're everywhere. So it's not a surprise. It's not a shock. I've been sitting up here saying these people glorify the United States and slavery is what created this nation. They were dropping like flies. They could not work the land. They totally, you know, diseased out the Native Americans. That's how they were able to get a leg up on them, because they were so nasty, so disgusting. And this is recorded history. Weren't taking baths. Was it once a year or once a month? I think once a month is being generous. I could have swore that it said once a year or something like that. Just nasty. And they brought their petri dish asses over to North America, and that's what happened. They couldn't defend themselves. People were dying from disease. They got sick from being around them. They thought that the natives were following them around with incense as if they were worshiping them. That tells you how twisted they are. But it was because they smell so bad and they thought they were demons. So, I mean, they were on the right path, but but I'm not surprised. It speaks to projection. Like, when somebody is okay with enslaving another person, it's because they don't want to do the work. They want to call themselves intelligence, genius. They built the country. They did all this, but you had to have other people to do it, and multiples of other people doing it. So many people that we started to outnumber them, and then they got scared. So building, I mean, there's a TikTok. He tells all the inventions, everything we did, the White House, all of it, everything that we built. And I mean, their ass is indicative of what they were doing, sitting on it all fucking day. That's why it's flat. But I mean, are we really shocked? I mean, people, they love to say, oh, this was back then, those people were horrible. There's not people like that today. You've got slave dolls and a person who may be a millennial or a Gen Xer. So this faith in the younger generation, you look at the Charlie Kirks and all that, they are their ancestors. They don't feel sorry. They don't feel bad. A lot of them are against, 80% of them are against reparations and repair. They really honestly in them believe that this was cool and okay, regardless of karma and knowing that the pendulum is already swinging, but it's gonna swing the other way, and it's usually worse than what was dished out. But I mean, really, this is America. I mean, that's the perfect song to go with these dolls. I mean, and then to insult people, to say, oh, she's getting death threats. You have to think about this. A lot of enslaved people were worked to death. They were beaten to death. They were raped. They were used. Their bodies was used in horrifying, imaginable ways, and it led to death. So if you are putting that out there with a smile on your face, and the store being called primitive lets you know everything you need to know about these Neanderthals. But if you're putting that energy out, that's the energy that you asked for. I mean, people act like they can't put two and two together. You're doing this horrific thing and you think you're not going to get that energy back. Talking about a death threat. Those dolls are death threats because enslaved people died young because of being worked to death. Or just someone was mad on a Tuesday and killed an enslaved person. So, of course, you should expect a death threat. And it's actually not a death threat. You're asking for this. You are asking for this. You think this is funny. You think it's hilarious to make fun of people. But if somebody made fun of you, like let's say when they did make fun of the Sandy Hook kids that were taken out, then that's unacceptable. It's so unacceptable for you, but you think it lets you know their mentality. They really look down on us. They really don't care. And I'm talking about a lot. I would say majority. I would say that 80% that's against repair and reparations, this is how they feel. They have no remorse. They celebrate Christopher Columbus. I had someone who basically said, if you celebrated Happy Christopher Columbus Day, a pedophile, a child ex-trafficker, a thief, a moron who did not know where he was, and a barbarian, a savage. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty soon they'll be celebrating, their independence. And yeah. I think this is kind of like a whole wake-up call for people to see the world for what it is and see people for who they are, and don't get comfortable thinking that everything is okay. You need to understand this is a disgusting world. There's a lot of disgusting people in it, and there's a lot of people who they love to see Black people in pain. They love to see Black people trodden down. They love to see Black people destroyed. You're having picnics, burning bodies. There's been people hung with their hands behind their back currently. So, having changed, they're like the ancestors. I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Whatever. Their fate is going to befall them for this. And the only thing that I hope with these dolls, wherever they have been, wherever they go, and this is for all dolls, because I remember Tales from the Hood, and I think that was my favorite story with the little dolls. Go ahead and leave a comment in the chat if you remember that. But yeah. But I hope these dolls become a conduit for a malice spirit and horrible energy that affects everyone that made it, touched it, had it around them, had it near their persons, and those who laugh at it. It becomes a conduit and a curse to the people that's ever been in proximity to these dolls and to those who have them now, because they did sell them. So, that's why I feel like, I don't have a problem with it, because there's some people who don't believe in the spiritual world, but I definitely do. And I do believe these dolls. And like I said, it's not the dolls themselves, but the dolls can become a conduit to enact reparations or justice, since they think this is so funny. And this was hilarious, and this was something to post to social media, which they were trying to get a reaction anyway. But I don't have this malice, hateful reaction. When I first saw them, it's scary. The dolls are scary. But I said, it would be perfect for, something to latch on to them and give them what they deserve. And, you know, these colorless people lately have been showing their asses. And all I have to say is, you know, if somebody is suspect or somebody is trying to disrespect you, you have every right to protect yourself in whatever means necessary. Because if you're setting up here saying racial epithets, you're making slave dolls, you're doing stuff like this, knowing that enslaved people usually died early is like you're making a death threat, and I should take you out before you harm me. But I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you think about this, and I will see you in the next one.